The chair has been used since antiquity, although for many centuries it was a symbolic article of state and dignity rather than an article for ordinary use. The chair is still used as the emblem of authority in the House of Commons in the United Kingdom and Canada and in many other settings. In keeping with this historical connotation of the chair as the symbol of authority, committees, boards of directors, and academic departments all have a chairman or chair. Endowed professorships are also referred to as chairs. It was not until the 16th century that chairs became common. Until then, people sat on chests, benches, and stools, which were the ordinary seats of everyday life. The number of chairs which have survived from an earlier date is exceedingly limited. Most examples are of ecclesiastical, seigneurial, or feudal origin. Citation needed. Chairs were in existence since at least the early dynastic period of Egypt, 3100 BC. They were covered with cloth or leather, were made of carved wood, and were much lower than today's chairs. Chair seats were sometimes only 10 inches, 25 centimeters high. In ancient Egypt, chairs appeared to have been made of great richness and splendor, fashioned of ebony and ivory, or of carved and gilded wood. They were covered with costly materials, magnificent patterns, and supported upon representations of the legs of beasts or the figures of captives. Generally speaking, the higher ranked an individual was, the taller and more sumptuous the chair he sat on, and the greater the honor. On state occasions, the pharaoh sat on a throne, often with a little footstool in front of it. The average Egyptian family seldom had chairs, and if they did, it was usually only the master of the household who sat on a chair. Among the better off, the chairs might be painted to look like the ornate inlaid, carved chairs of the rich, but the craftsmanship was usually quite poor. The earliest images of chairs in China are from a 6th century Buddhist mural and stele, but the practice of sitting in chairs at the time was rare. It was not until the 12th century that chairs became widespread in China. Scholars disagree on the reasons for the adoption of the chair. The most common theories are that the chair was an outgrowth of indigenous Chinese furniture, that it evolved from a camp stool imported from Central Asia, that it was introduced to China by Christian missionaries in the 7th century, and that the chair came to China from India as a form of Buddhist monastic furniture. In modern China, unlike Korea or Japan, it is no longer common to sit at floor level. In Europe, it was owing in great measure to the Renaissance that the chair ceased to be a privilege of state and became a standard item of furniture for anyone who could afford to buy it. Once the idea of privilege faded from the chair, it speedily came into general use, and almost all at once the chair began to change every few years to reflect the fashions of the day. Thomas Edward Bowditch visited the main palace of the Ashanti Empire in 1819 and observed chairs engrossed with gold in the empire. In the 1880s, chairs became more common in American households, and usually there was a chair provided for every family member to sit down to dinner. By the 1830s, a factory manufactured fancy chair, like those by Sears, Roebuck, and Co., allowed families to purchase machine sets. With the Industrial Revolution, chairs became much more available. The 20th century saw an increasing use of technology in chair construction, with such things as all-metal folding chairs, metal-legged chairs, the slumber chair, molded plastic chairs, and ergonomic chairs. The recliner became a popular form, at least in part due to radio and television. In the 1930s, stair lifts were commercially available to help people suffering from polio and other diseases to navigate stairs. The modern movement of the 1960s produced new forms of chair. The butterfly chair, originally called the Hardoi chair, bean bags, and the egg-shaped pod chair that turns. It also introduced the first mass-produced plastic chairs, such as the Bofinger chair in 1966. Technological advances led to molded plywood and wood laminate chairs, as well as chairs made of leather or polymers. Mechanical technology incorporated into the chair enabled adjustable chairs, especially for office use. Motors embedded in the chair resulted in a massage chair. Materials. Chair can be made from wood, metal, or other strong materials, like stone or acrylic. In some cases, multiple materials are used to construct a chair. For example, the legs and frame may be made from metal, and the seat and back may be made from plastic. Chairs may have hard surfaces of wood, metal, plastic, or other materials, or some of or all of these hard surfaces may be covered with upholstery or padding. The design may be made of porous materials or be drilled with holes for decoration. A low back or gaps can provide ventilation. The back may extend above the height of the occupant's head, which can optionally contain a headrest. Chairs can also be made from more creative materials, such as recycled materials like cutlery, wooden play bricks, pencils, plumbing tubes, rope, corrugated cardboard, and PVC pipe. In rare cases, chairs can be made out of unusual materials, especially as a form of art or experimentation. Raymond Surrealis, a Latvian inferior designer, created a volcanic hanging chair that is handmade of volcanic rock. Peter Brenner, a Dutch-born German designer, has created a chair made from lollipop sugar, 60 pounds, 27 kilograms of confectioner's sugar. Design and ergonomics. Chair design considers intended usage, ergonomics, how comfortable it is for the occupant, as well as non-ergonomic functional requirements such as size, stacking ability, folding ability, weight, durability, stain resistance, and artistic design. Seat height. Ergonomic design attributes the weight of the occupant to various parts of the body. This is done by having an easily adjustable seat height. A seat that is higher results in dangling feet and increased pressure on the underside of the knees, the popliteal fold. It may also result in no weight on the feet, which means more weight elsewhere. A lower seat may shift too much weight to the seat bones, the ischial tuberosities. Gas springs are attached to the body of the chair in order to give height adjustment and more comfort to the user. Some chairs have footrests. Around 15% of women and 2% of men need footrests, even if it's at the 16-inch or 41 centimeter chair height. A stool or other simple chair may have a simple straight or curved bar near the bottom for the sitter to place their feet on. Actual chair dimensions are determined by measurements of the human body or anthropomorphic measurements. That's anthropometric. The two most relevant anthropometric measurements for chair design is the popliteal height and the buttock popliteal length. For someone seated, the popliteal height is the distance from the underside of the foot to the underside of the thigh at the knees. It is sometimes called the stool height. The term sitting height is reserved for the height to the top of the head when seated. For American men, the median popliteal height is 16.3 inches, 41 centimeters, and for American women, it is 15 inches, 38 centimeters. The popliteal height, after adjusting for heels, clothing, and other issues, is used to determine the height of the chair seat. Mass-produced chairs are typically 17 inches, 43 centimeters high. Researchers such as Mary Blade and Galen Kranz found that sitting on the edge of a high stool with feet on the floor is less harmful for the lower back than sitting up straight in a conventional chair. Reclining angle. Different types of chairs can have a variety of seating positions depending on the intended task. Typically, chairs intended for people completing work, or dining can only recline very slightly, otherwise the occupant is too far away from the desk or table. Dental chairs are necessarily reclined. Research has shown that the best seated posture is a reclined posture of 100 to 110 degrees. In order to recline, the backrest may be independently adjustable. A reclining seat and back will reduce the load on the occupant's back muscles. In general, if the occupant is supposed to sit for a long time, weight needs to be taken off the seat area, and thus easy chairs intended for long periods of sitting are generally at least slightly reclined. Back and head support. The back of the chair will support some of the weight of the occupant, reducing the weight on other parts of the body. Some backrests support only the lumbar region, while shoulder height backrests support the entire back and shoulders. Headrests support the head as well and are important in vehicles by preventing whiplash neck injuries in rear-end collisions where the head is jerked back suddenly. Reclining chairs typically have at least shoulder height backrests to shift weight to the shoulders. Padding. There may be cases where padding is not desirable, such as chairs that are intended primarily for outdoor use. Where padding is not desirable, contouring may be used instead. A contoured seat pan attempts to distribute weight without padding. By matching the shape of the occupant's buttocks, weight is distributed and maximum pressure is reduced. Armrests. A chair may or may not have armrests. Chairs with armrests are termed armchairs in French. A distinction is made between fauteuils and chaises, the terms for chairs with and without armrests. Respectively, in Germany, an armchair was once called a Krankensessel, or sick chair, because it was intended for people who were too ill to stand or sit without extra support. If present, armrests will support part of the body weight through the arms. If the arms are resting on the armrests, elbow rest height is used to determine the height of the armrests. Armrests should support the forearm and not the sensitive elbow area. Hence, in some chair designs, the armrest is not continuous to the chair back, but is missing in the elbow area. Armrests further have the function of making entry and exit from the chair easier, but from the side it becomes more difficult. Seat size and leg room. For someone seated, the buttock popliteal length is the horizontal distance from the backmost part of the buttocks to the back of the lower leg. The anthropometric measurement is used to determine the seat depth. Mass-produced chairs are typically 15 to 17 inches, 38 to 43 centimeters deep. Additional anthropometric measurements may be relevant to designing a chair. Hip breadth is used for chair width and armrest width. The buttock knee length is used to determine leg room between rows of chairs. Seat pitch is the distance between rows of seats. In some airplanes and stadiums, the leg room, the seat pitch less the thickness of the seat at thigh level, is so small that it is sometimes insufficient for the average person. Types of chairs. A wide variety of chairs has emerged throughout the ages, some based on formal usages and others based on domestic needs, while some are based on needs within the workplace or various professions. Office chair. An office chair is one used by employees within an office. Go figure. Modern office chairs are usually adjustable and wheeled. Caster wheels are attached to the seat of chairs to give more mobility. Dining room chair. A dining room chair is a specific type of design used around a dining room table. Go figure. It can be found in most ordinary residential homes and also may appear in formal settings, such as any formal event or reception that includes a formal meal or banquet. Work chair. A work chair is a specialized chair adapting to the needs of a particular profession or setting. For example, a designing chair will be used for designers who sit at high easels. It will usually have added height. Rocking chair. Some chairs have two curved bands of wood, also known as rockers, attached to the bottom of the legs. These are called rocking chairs. Go figure. A kneeling chair. Kneeling chairs add an additional body part to the knees to support the weight of the body. A sit-stand chair distributes most of the weight of the occupant to the feet. Many chairs are padded or have cushions. Padding can be on the seat of the chair only, on the seat and back, or also on any armrest or footrest the chair may have. Padding will not shift the weight to different parts of the body, unless the chair is so soft that the shape is altered. However, padding does distribute the weight by increasing the area of contact between the chair and the body, and thus reducing the amount of pressure at any given point. By contrast, a hardwood chair feels hard because the contact point between the occupant and the chair is small. In lieu of padding, flexible materials such as wicker may be used instead, with similar effects of distributing the weight. Seats. Chair seats vary widely in construction and may or may not match the construction of the chair's backrest. Some systems include center seats, where a solid material forms the chair seat. Solid wood may or may not be shaped to human contours. Wood slats, often seen on outdoor chairs. Padded leather, generally a flat wood base covered in padding and contained in soft leather. Stuffed fabric, similar to padded leather. Metal seats of solid or open design. Molded plastic. Stone, often marble. Open center seats, where a soft material is attached to the tops of chair legs or between stretchers to form the seat. Wicker, woven to provide a surface to give to it. Leather may be tooled with a design. Fabric, simple covering without support. Tape, wide fabric tape woven into seat, seen in lawn chairs and some old chairs. Caning. Rush, wrapped from rush heavy paper, strong grasses, or hand twisted while wrapping with cattails to form the seat, usually in a pattern of 4 trapezoids meeting in the center, and on rare occasions in elaborate patterns. Reed. Rawhide. Splint, ash, oak, or hickory strips are woven. Metal Metal mesh or wire are woven to form a seat. Standards and specifications. Design considerations for chairs have been codified into standards. ISO 9241. Ergonomic requirements for office work with visual display terminals, VDTs, Part 5. Workstation layout and postural requirements is the most common one for modern chair design. There are multiple specific standards for different types of chairs. Dental chairs are specified by ISO 6875. Beanbag chairs are specified by ANSI, A-N-S-I, standard ASTM F1912-98. ISO 7174 specifies stability of rocking and tilted chairs, while ASTM F1858-98 specifies plastic lawn chairs. ASTM E1822-02B defines the combustibility of chairs when they are stacked. The Business and Institutional Furniture Manufacturers Association, BIFMA, B-I-F-M-A, defines ANSI/BIFMA X5.1 titled General Purpose Office Chairs-Tests for testing of commercial grade chairs. It requires a chair back strength of 150 pounds, 68 kilograms, chair stability if weight is transferred completely to the front or back legs, leg strength of 75 pounds, 34 kilograms, applied 1 inch, 25 millimeters from the bottom of the leg, seat strength of 225 pounds or 102 kilograms, dropped from 6 inches, 150 millimeters above the seat cycle strength of 100,000 repetitions of 125 pounds, 57 kilograms, dropped from 2 inches, 51 millimeters above the seat. The specification further defines heavier proof loads that chairs must withstand. Under these higher loads, the chair may be damaged, but it must not fail catastrophically. Large institutions that make bulk purchases will reference these standards within their own even more detailed criteria for purchase. Governments will issue standards for purchases by government agencies, e.g. Canadian General Standards Board, CAN/CGSB 41.15M on straight stacking chair steel, or CAN/CGSB 44232-2002 on task chairs for office work with visual display terminal. Chairs may be rated by the length of time they can be used comfortably. An 8-hour chair, a 24-hour chair, and so on. Such chairs are specified for tasks which require extended periods of sitting, such as for receptionists or supervisors of a control panel. Accessories. In place of a built-in footrest, some chairs come with a matching ottoman. An ottoman is a short stool that is intended to be used as a footrest, but can sometimes be used as a stool. If matched to a glider chair, the ottoman may be mounted on swing arms so that the ottoman rocks back and forth with the main glider. A chair cover is a temporary fabric cover for a side chair. They're typically rented for formal events such as wedding receptions to increase the attractiveness of the chairs and decor. The chair's covers may come with decorative chair ties, a ribbon to be tied as a bow behind the chair. Covers for sofas and couches are also available for homes with small children and pets. In the second half of the 20th century, some people use custom clear plastic covers for expensive sofas and chairs to protect them. Chair pads are cushions for chairs. They contain cotton or foam for padding. Some are decorative. In cars, they may be used to increase the height of the driver. Orthopedic backrests provide support for the back. Car seats sometimes have built-in and adjustable lumbar supports. These can be used on kitchen chairs. Chair mats are mats meant to cover different types of flooring. They're usually made from plastic. This allows chairs on wheels to roll easily over the carpet and protect the carpet or floor. They come in various shapes, some specifically sized to fit partially under a desk. Remote control bags can be draped over the arm of easy chairs or sofas and used to hold remote controls for home cinemas. They are counterweighted so as not to slide off the arms under the weight of the remote controls. Chair glides are attached to the feet of chairs to prevent them from scratching or snagging on the floor. An antimacassar is a cloth covering for a headrest to protect the fabric and enable easy washing. As sculptural and art forms. The Broken Chair is a monumental sculpture in wood, constructed of 5.5 tons of wood, 12 meters 39 feet high, standing across the street from the Palace of Nations in Geneva. It has a broken leg, symbolizing opposition to landmines and cluster bombs in 2001. Steve Mann exhibited a chair sculpture at San Francisco Art Institute. The chair had spikes that retracted when a credit card was inserted to download a seating license. Later, other museums and galleries were equipped with the pay-to-sit chair, with a global central seating license server located in Toronto. The first sitting session was free, with a database of persons who had already used their free sessions. In a performance piece at the 2012 Republican National Convention, Clint Eastwood addressed an empty chair as if it represented President Barack Obama, meant to be construed as MIA or ineffectual. The address was controversial, with critics describing it as bizarre and supporters describing it as poignant. Japanese designer Tokujin Yokosha has created several chairs as art forms, such as Honey Pop Honeycomb Paper Chair, 2001, Pain Chair Natural Fiber Chairs, 2006, Venus Natural Crystal Chair, 2007. New York industrial designer Ian Stell created steel and wood kinetic sculptures that transform into chairs, including the roll bottom chair from 2016 that turns into a secretariat desk, and Loop that transforms into two interlocking chairs when expanded from 2015. Cultural significance. In Welsh culture, an Eisteddfod is a festival with several ranked competitions, including in poetry and music. The term Eisteddfod, which is formed from two Welsh morphemes, estyd, meaning sit, and fod, meaning be, means, according to Hywat Tuffy Edwards, sitting together. Edwards further defines the earliest form of Eisteddfod as a competitive meeting between bards and minstrels, in which the winner can be chosen by a noble or royal patron. In language, if someone nearly fell off their chair after being informed about something, it was because they were very shocked or surprised. An orchestra awards the best player in a particular section or chair or principal seat based on ability. The first chair of the section plays the solos, and in string sections determines the bowings. In professional orchestra, the first chair player receives higher pay. It is also common for the position to be known as first stand, a reference to the portable lectern on which the musicians put their sheet music. However, the first person who is in first chair is the first violin section is usually referred to as the concertmaster in the US or leader in the UK. In academia, an endowed chair is a prestigious appointment for a professor, paid for by a dedicated funding source. A chair is the highest officer of an organized group, such as the chair of the board, the head of the board of directors in a company or nonprofit organization. Musical chairs is a common party game and a colloquial expression to determine people shuffling from seat to seat, around different locations or from one job title to another. In American slang, to say someone will get the chair is to say they will be executed by an electric chair. Alternatively, it can be a metaphor for other harsh punishment. See also list of chairs for an extended list type, such as the lift chair, Papazian chair, swivel chair, chair pose, chair squat, riding like sitting, seating assignment, splat, furniture, the central vertical element of a wooden chair back.